Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana
Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Munatira Vanachari.
Munatira Vanachari.
Munatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Today we're looking at Canto 9 from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 4, Ambarish Maharaj offended by Durvasa Muni, and it's text 68. Sadhavo Hridayang Mayam.
Sadhavo Hridayang Mahyam. Sudunam Hridayang Tvaham.
Hridayang Tvanam. Mad Anyat Tena Jananti.
Mad Anyat Nahang Tevyo Managapi. Sadhavo Hridayang Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayang Tvaham Mada Anyat Hena Janati Nahang Tevyo Managapi Sadhavo Hridayang Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayang Tvaham Mad anyate na janati Nahang tebyo managapi Sadhavo hridayang mahyam Sadhunam hridayang tvaham Mad anyate na janati Nahang tebyo managapi Sadhavo hridayang mahyam Sadhunam hridayang tvaham Madanyate na jananti Nahang tebyo managapi Sadhavo hridayang mahyam Sadhunam hridayang tvaham Mananyate na jananti Nahang tebyo managapi.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Do you want to do the word by word? No.
Sure. Sadhava,
Sadhava,
the pure devotees.
pure devotees.
Hridayang,
Hridayam,
in the core of the heart.
the core of the heart.
Mahyam,
Mayam,
of me.
of me.
Sadhunam,
Sadhunam,
of the pure devotees also.
pure devotees also.
Hridayang,
Hridayam,
in the core of the heart.
in the core of the heart.
Two,
Two,
indeed.
indeed.
Ahang, I. Mat anyat,
Man anyat,
anything
anything
else but me.
else but me.
Te,
Te,
they.
they,
Na, not. Jananti,
jananti,
no. Na, not.
not.
Ahang,
Ah,
I. Tebya,
tebya,
than them. Manak api,
nakapi,
even by a little fraction.
even by a little fraction. Translation, we can do this all together. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Somebody hold this. Since Durvasa Muni wanted to chastise Maharaj Ambarish, it is to be understood that he wanted to give pain to the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the Lord says, Sadhavo hridayang mayam. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. The Lord's feelings are like those of a father who feels pain when his child is in pain. Therefore, offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee are serious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very strongly recommended that one not commit any offense at the lotus of a
Devotee.
Such offenses are compared to a mad elephant. Because when a mad elephant enters a garden, it causes devastation. There, one should be extremely careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Actually, Maharaj Ambarish was not at all at fault. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily wanted to chastise him on flimsy grounds. Maharaj Ambarish wanted to complete the Akadashi Parana as a part of devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, he
Drank.
a little water. But although Durvasa Muni was a great mystic Brahmana, he did not know what is what. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a so-called learned scholar of Vedic knowledge. The devotees, being always situated in the core of the Lord's heart, surely get all instructions directly from the Lord, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 10:11. Tesham evanakam paratam aham jnanajam tama nashiyam yatma bhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata. Translation. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. The devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is said, Vaishnavera kriya mudra viyeya na bhujaya. Even the most learned or experienced person cannot understand the movements of a Vaishnav, a pure devotee. No one, therefore, should criticize a pure Vaishnav. A Vaishnav knows his own business. Whatever he does is precisely right. But he is always guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating. Okay. This is an outstanding verse. I mean, I'll say something and you can say something, all right? The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. And I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me. And I do not know anything else but them. Okay? So it appears that Krishna's heart is made up of devotees, right? And if you offend a devotee, a follower of the Lord, then you will give Krishna a heart attack. Hare Krishna. Serious stuff. Srila Prabhupada says, serious. So therefore, one has to be very careful about how we conduct ourselves and how we deal with each other as saintly people. Would you like to say something more? We can just follow, and I'll follow you. Is that okay?
Yeah, this verse is really an incredible testimony to Krishna's eternal love for us and the love that we should have for Krishna. That we should always be thinking of Krishna and nothing else, because Krishna is always thinking of us. And he is taking care of everyone, whether they believe in him or not, or whether they offend him or not. He's looking after all of them. And so Krishna is so full of, they always say God is love. Well, this is a perfect example of how loving God really is. And he says that he is not partial to anyone, and yet he is friends with the devotees, and he exchanges loving exchanges with the devotees. So, but that is there for everyone. So he's not partial. And it's like anybody can join those loving exchanges. You just have to want to take part. So this verse really encourages us to take part in those loving exchanges.
Offenses are fences. So when you have a fence, you put it there, especially to demarcate, this is the line, this is my property. And of course, people are very possessive about their plot of land. And if you don't put a fence up there, and there's like sod that goes right across from your house to the next guy's house, he'll start mowing the lawn and just getting a little inch every time. And so that's why you have fences. You have lines. You have to draw lines, And so that's the interesting thing about having fences now. It's important that we don't sit on the fence. You know that expression. Don't just sit on the fence, but rather do something. Get going. Either be on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. We are part of the marginal energy. Tatashta Shakti energy, and Tata means kind of like borderline, in the middle. And sometimes, like when we go swimming in Cherry Beach or wherever it is, there's the beach, right? And the beach is sometimes covered with water. It depends on how close you. And sometimes it's dry sand. So in the middle. We are expected to, although we are part of the marginal energy, we are expected to dive deeply into the spiritual energy of the Lord, to dive deep into the waters, the cool, refreshing waters of devotional service, if that is a good analogy. Should we be in the water, or should we out of the water? Out. In the water? Okay. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened here in this temple. The temple president at the time, after we got this building, was getting into like a business. And he had every right to, because he was a grihasta. He was just trying to make a little extra money. He was getting into real estate. And devotees living in the temple were very concerned. They thought, oh, just he's getting into Maya. He's getting into business, dealing with people on the outside, the karmis, and they're very bad. Well, there's us and them mentality was there. So they wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada about this, very out of concern and out of love. Our temple president is getting involved in business, and it's real estate and blah, blah, blah. And then Prabhupada, came back to us. I mean, we should dig up that letter, really. To the devotees. And this yatra, this temple there, and he said, well, business is like going fishing. If you go fishing, don't get wet. So that means that if you go fishing, make sure you pull the fish in and they don't pull you in, right? So it is like the example that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. It's very nice, of the lotus flower. We have lotus flowers, actually, in Canada. Anybody ever been to Point Pelee or Pelee Island? There's a massive swamp full of what's called American lotuses. White, beautiful, with big pads. Just kind of like what they have in India or Guyana. And I go to Guyana and devotees eat off of the lotus pads. Not banana leaves, but lotus pads are superior. I have to tell you that. Because when you have a banana leaf, it has that little, that stem that goes in, and then it sort of fans out like this. So someone puts some sabji and dal, and it just kind of, and whoa, 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 whoa. But on a lotus pad, it doesn't do that. Okay, so let's get back to the example that Krishna gives. The lotus is in the water, and if it happens to rain, water drops on it, and it just kind of like falls off, like the ripple effect of, water beating off the back of a duck. It doesn't get soggy. It doesn't, it's aloof. Even though it's on water, it doesn't get soggy, It doesn't get dirty, because when you think of a swamp, it's dirty. But the lotus looks beautiful in a swamp, right? So we have to be like that. We have to be on the side of the fence that speaks of devotional service. Don't get too caught up in criticizing. And I want to say this, that about last year when B.B. Govinda Swami was here, we were talking about the early days on Gerrard Street. And I said, remember, we never fought with each other? We just didn't fight with you. We kind of just disagreed, whatever Prabhupada said, that we went up with. And if the temple president says such and such, that's what you do. And there was no disagreement. There was no offenses. But I want to say a devotee should try to avoid as best as possible. Now, once the computer era came in, around 1996, then people started being offensive, like in a big way, by cowardly putting messages out there about how bad this person and that is, and sending it out to the world. That's the problem with the disease. Where did my phone go? Yeah, this stuff. We love it, and you should love to hate it. Hare Krishna, more gore.
Srila Prabhupada talks about how if we compare ourselves to others, then we will actually develop a demonic mentality. If we think, am I more advanced, less advanced, or whatever? Because Lord Chaitanya says that we should think ourselves lower than the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree. We should consider ourselves the lowest of the low. So we can never compare ourselves to somebody else and think, well, I'm greater than he is. Even Srila Prabhupada often would say that I am here to serve you, like that to his disciples, that I am helping you in your Krishna consciousness. But it's sometimes necessary for the guru to chastise a disciple, but he does it in such a way as to uplift the disciple. And here we have Durvasa Muni, who should be a spiritual master, being a Muni, but instead he's thinking, how can I trap Ambarish Maharaj? And how can I get him so that he, commits some offense, and then I can chastise him for committing that offense. And so that is that, dangerous type of mentality, because he's putting down a great devotee of the Lord. And so if you really want to not be dear to Krishna, just offend his devotees, as we know from the story of many stories where demons were harassing the devotees and Krishna just wiped them out, Kamsa and Hiranyakashipu and so many others. And so Durvasa Muni is of that same kind of mindset in this particular instance, because he's trying to put down a devotee. So we have to be very careful to guard against that mentality and make sure that we're always pushing everybody else ahead and making sure that everybody else is advancing in their Krishna consciousness. And we're just trying to assist as much as possible in whichever way we can in the temple and the devotees and one's guru and Srila Prabhupada's mission, like that.
Okay, thank you, Krsnadas. Now, here we are, sitting on the floor. Some of us are in chairs, and we're going through a Bhagavatam discussion, okay? Let's say Durvasa Muni comes around the corner. How would we react? And why? What would we do? If it was clearly announced, Durvasa Muni is entering, what would we do? Okay, what else would we do? Give him a good seat.
We would be fearful that he's going to find fault with us.
How would you sit? Yeah. Amala Harinam had that, right? Okay, here he comes. And what would you do apart from that? Like, say, we ask him to share and give the class. What would you do? Give him some water? What else? Huh? Hide? What's that? Hide away? You would run away. Okay, well, maybe that's a good idea. Knowing who he is and what he is, what he's like, yes. You would? Oh, you would smile? I don't know. He might not like that. Who are you? Why are you smiling?
This is serious business.
he would point that out. Why are you acting like a madman, smiling? And everyone would just straighten out like anything. It would be like that. Okay. Let's say if a police officer was to walk in, which has happened in this temple in the past. He's coming in with his shoes on. You know, they sort of like a John Wayne walk like this. What would you do then? What would be your response? How would you react? You'd say hi? Hi. You would what? Ask him to sponsor Bhagavatam set. Okay? You can try it out. You're under arrest. Okay. You'd probably straighten up. You'll be like this, you know, just show you are serious, right? So this is what it's a bit like with Durvasa Muni and many other pastimes where he's a guy who's by the book, right? He lives and works by the book, meaning whatever the rules are, that's what they are. There's no flexibility in him. There's no understanding. There's no listening to your feelings. It's all about rules, niyamagraha, and no appreciation of what those rules are all about, what they're meant for. So that's a little bit of a problem that we sometimes find amongst some persons on the spiritual path. They're often like very pitta-oriented people, fire. You have to, you know, it's kind of like a Ramachandra Puri guy, full of fire. Do you know Ramachandra Puri and the Chaitanya Charitamrita? He was very much by the book, you know, and he would just irk everybody. He was under everyone's skin. You can read about him. He's a character. We're going to do a play about him. We're very committed to do a play about him and expose the fanaticism that sometimes lingers among certain people. Yeah, so Ramachandra Puri was like that, Durvasa Muni. Ramachandra Puri was like a thorn in everyone's side. And finally, when he left the association of devotees, people were relieved. Oh God, like a heavy weight was lifted for so long. You know, he was actually critical of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers. I have heard that the followers of Mahaprabhu eat too much, you know. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a humble position and he decided, okay, I'll cut down my intake. And he did, and he started to get very thin. And when devotees would see him in his very skinny physique, they get really irritated. They say, oh, I know who's behind this. And it was Ramachandra Puri. So finally he left the company of devotees, and devotees were just so happy because basically he was a big offender. You know, so you can follow rules and regulations, you can be very harsh and cold, and you can be a devotee, but if you don't soften up, you know, you will destroy devotees' lives, you'll make them very uncomfortable. So, and so he was very much an extremist in that regard. So what do you do with certain people that are fanatical like that? What do you do? That's my question to you. But, Krsnadas, do you have anything else?
Oh, I thought you were asking me, what do you do?
No, well, you can do it. You can just go ahead and continue with any other points. I have another major point to make, and then after that we can go for your questions and stuff.
Yeah, just towards the end here, Prabhupada talks about how a devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is really how we have to try to mold our lives. So often our mind thinks that, I need this or I need that, something other than a devotional service. And granted, there may be some license, but one should be very careful to try to be working towards always thinking about Krishna and always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna, the two most important regulative principles. And so in this way, we want to strive for pure devotion, because by pure devotion, then one can actually enter into the realm of pure devotion, go back to the spiritual world, and be in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, we are, even when we begin chanting Hare Krishna, we're immediately in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we don't always realize it, right? I mean, how many people pick up their japa beads and go, I'm going to get to associate with Krishna now. It's like, oh, I got to finish my 16 rounds. Like that. So one should always be thinking, I just really want to be with Krishna all the time, and I don't want to do anything that Krishna doesn't want me to do. I just want to do what he wants me to do. And how do we know that? We know that by disciplic succession and what's coming down through the management of the temple. They're asking you to do different jobs, different tasks in the temple. That's all because Krishna's wanting that to happen. Make sure the temple's clean, that things are organized, that programs are going on like that, and that we're learning about Krishna like we're doing right now. So in this way we can always just mold our lives in such a way that we'll always remember Krishna and never forget him.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to reflect also a little bit on the purport near the end. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vidyeya Na Bhujaya, which translates as it's hard to understand what's going on in the mind of a Vaishnav. It's hard to understand his intent, his purpose, his lifestyle, and everything. Okay, let's go to Yonge Street, 1974, summertime. Okay? Yonge Street was blocked off from Queen Street up to, I don't know, it was several blocks were blocked off. And you could actually, walk on the street. It was made like a pedestrian zone. And automobiles were not allowed to go there. Do you remember that, Sucharya? Yeah.
I think it was right at the college, wasn't it?
Yeah, just went up for some distance.
Yeah, because I think when we walked from Harinam, from Gerrard Street over to Yonge Street, we'd come right onto the mall right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they called it the mall at that time. Yeah. And devotees would go there. We were on Gerrard Street 187. So it was kind of easy to get there, just a few blocks. You pass Ryerson University, which is what it was called then. And so devotees would have a kirtan, and we'd form a circle and do kirtan. And then people were surrounding us, just so interested. Who are these people? What are they all about? They look very different. And so they were just really interested in hearing the chanting and also looking at us and everything. So then what would happen is that after some time on the chanting, the drumming, the kartals playing and so on, one of the senior devotees would give a little talk. Right. And so there was this one particular devotee. He was tall, 6 feet, maybe a couple of inches or something, 2, 3. And he started his speech. And he goes like this, if I can imitate him. Okay, so you may be wondering what we're doing here, but we are wondering what you're doing here. So it's hard sometimes to comprehend what is this chanting all about. And people do see it like that. They say, why are they so happy? Why are they so, what are they happy about? I'm grumpy. Why are they happy? I think I should be happy. Like we met a guy this morning with the two dogs, remember? The guy with the hair and the little mustache. And he was very spriteful. We said, good morning. Good morning, how are you? Yeah, have a good day. Like that. Okay, that's really what we're meant to be. And Vaishnavas, at least in their heart, are supposed to be always upbeat, you know. And no one can understand why we might be happy, because we were actually just living by, let's say, hand to mouth, you know. We didn't have any money. We were just scraping by. Krsnadas was the treasurer when we got here, and he's grinding his teeth at night, wondering how to pay the bills. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
My jaw was sore in the morning often. I mean, literally grinding my teeth at night.
So
my
the
wife
point,
Purnamasi would sometimes, she would be in another room, she'd come in, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, but my mouth's really sore.
we're not in that situation now financially. But the point I just want to make is that the devotee who was speaking to the crowds, who said, maybe you don't know what we're doing, what this is all about. We're also questioning what you're doing here. Of course, you know, it's all sense gratification. You're coming here to enjoy, and we have come here to enjoy, but in a different way. He went on, it was quite nice. And, you know, devotees were quite used to, you know, saying foundational, you know, lines as such as, we're not this body. We're spirits. You know who I'm talking about? Talk about. All right. And so in this way, people had a chance to get their question answered, which is, why are we here and what are we doing there on Young Street? So we want to clarify that was important. And then we get back into chanting and went back and forth. So some people do have a hard time understanding why you would be doing some austerity. There's one, it was the Day of the Triffids or something, one of the famous novels where people are looking, and there's this guy performing some austerity. He's taking a bath, doing some like exercises like Surya Namaskar, something. Do you remember that? Something? One of the novels that we were supposed to read in grade 12 or whatever, 13, whatever. And it was, you know, people, well, why are they doing tapasya, you know? That's what we call it, tapasya. And it's for building up your, you know, character. Why do we chant? Well, Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. Don't you want to be happy? Right? So we're doing all these things that are hard for some people to comprehend. And we look at them and say, why are you drinking? Didn't you know it's toxic? Doesn't it make, why are you smoking? You know, I mean, it'll hit your lungs. Well, the answer to them, I'm just having a good time. Really? You're having a good time destroying yourself, you know, and getting to the point where you can't even get behind a wheel, or you can't even, you know, walk properly, or you start talking and, you know, everything, you cannot, you know, you lose your abilities that God has given you. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to have illicit sex all over the place like some kind of rabbit, you know, or pigeons? Prabhupada said pigeons have a lot of sex. Why do you want to do these things? Why do you want to do all this? Why do you have a lifestyle like that? It's a mess. Why do you want to be a mess? You know? And frankly, the world that we live in now, it is a big mess because everyone is a loosey-goosey person. Or let's say that a good chunk of the community is like that. You know, why do you want to destroy yourself? You call that fun? I don't think so. I don't think, you know, chimneys give clouds and they put smoke comes out. You're not supposed to be a chimney. We're meant for better things, right? So it's hard for some people to understand why some individuals will go through some austerities and so on like that, but it's very comprehensible if you say, well, people go to the gym. It might be painful, but you do it to build up. It's not always with the best intent. You should be doing these things so you could be a protector, right? Not necessarily to get people to look at you. Right.
I am this body.
I am this body. This is the biggest problem in the world. Saying, I am this body. That's right. So, anyways, I just want to bring you to Yonge Street. They closed the mall down, and now the traffic got in there. I don't know why, but it was kind of nice to have everyone walking and being there and chanting it for the public and having them come to watch us. Hare Krishna. So, do you want to, let's see, we can sort of wrap it up now.
I have nothing much more to add. I have nothing to add.
Okay. So then now it's time for some feedback. I mean, you can ask your questions and deliberations. Oh my God, this is like the universal forum. Arms everywhere, legs everywhere. Okay, we'll start with you. It goes like this.
Sorry, Maharaj.
I have Jodi, not a sorry. Just to let you know, I know my gender.
Hare Krishna. Krsnadas, Kaviraj, Prabhu. You said that Srila Prabhupada used to say, if we compare ourselves to others, we develop a demoniac mentality. Could you please elaborate a bit more on that, and also help us with some practical tips on how to not do that? I mean, we understand that we shouldn't do it, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Right.
Thank
If one
That's
compares,
a good one. I'll have to use that.
if one compares oneself to somebody else, thinking, "Am I better than them?" That's when we can really get into difficulty, because we can understand. It's actually described in the scripture how we should relate to devotees, whether somebody is more advanced, the same as us, or less advanced. And so if somebody's more advanced, then we should serve that devotee and take care of them and do whatever they wish. And if somebody is on our same level, then we associate with them and share Krishna consciousness, equally with them. And then if somebody is less advanced, then we give them Krishna consciousness. We try to help uplift them from their position. But we shouldn't ever think in any of these situations that somehow or other I'm better than him. In the material world, everybody's thinking, this person may be a great movie star or something like that, but I'm better than him in this, or I'm better than she is in that. Like we are always comparing like that. And that kind of mentality, when we're thinking that I am better, that's actually what got us into the material world in the first place. It's like, I'm better than Krishna. So we have to be really careful that we're not better than anybody. And as long as we remember that we are not better than anybody, then that can actually open the door to the spiritual world, because that's the proper mentality.
Jai, thank you. Karna.
It's really nice being here in Toronto, and I'm staying in an Airbnb. It's great to see how beautiful Toronto got since last time I was here. And it reminded me that people want the kingdom of God without God. These are all the beautiful houses and stuff, but it's not working. We know what's going on inside those houses and stuff. So when you do something godly, though, they think it's odd. Like they're trying to make the world heavenly, but we're actually making the world heavenly. But they think that is stupid, so that's why you don't understand what's going on in the mind of a devotee. So I have an example that I have this, like a vrata, not a vow, but determination I go on like a japa walk every morning between 5 and 6, because the stars are still out and you see the red sky, this sunrise, and how nice it is. You think of Krishna and all the things related to that, and chanting japa. So it's really peaceful. But at the same time, everybody's out walking their dog. So they're looking at me like, what's she doing just walking around? Where's her dog? So I'm the oddball, and they're the ones that are normal. So that she should be at home drinking coffee, getting ready for the day. So that was just an example of how nobody knows what's going on. Like, we look like the crazy one, and they're trying to make the kingdom of God.
Thank you. That's very nice. Good. Amala?
Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you, Prabhu. It was a really wonderful lecture. I wrote a lot of notes. However, I had this specific question regarding, you are talking about gym. As the devotees, we know we are not the body, but we do have to take care of our bodies because we have to take Bhoga boxes inside. Srimad Bhagavatam says. So I just was wondering, what are your views on people or generally devotees? Do we encourage them to go to gym or not?
Do we engage them?
Do we encourage them to go to gym and work out and stuff?
Oh, it's all right to have some recreation, but your intent has to be proper. Like devotees like to swim. That's like a, walk, swimming. They go hand in hand together. They're traditional Vaishnava recreational activities, so it's all right to do that. Krishna says in the Gita that one should be temperate in the habits of eating and sleeping and recreation. So it's all right to do those things. But it might be recommended not to do anything too frivolous, There are some sports that are quite sattvic, rajasic to sattvic. Everybody knows the modalities, that's the word that was used the other day. And then there are those kind of activities that are a little bit more in the tamasic line, where it's a lot of bashing and knocking someone's head, just so the brains get lost, as in boxing, things like that. So devotees don't need to box with each other, I would say. If we started a program like that, I would step right in the middle, so stop it. Yeah, so the recreation is okay. We encourage you to, I always tell you, go for a walk. When Prabhupada was having his difficulties there in New York, he had heart palpitations, and then it was hard to find a doctor to treat him. And finally, it was Brahmananda's doctor, family doctor, was a Jewish gentleman, like an older guy. He said, I'll tell you what the problem is. The old man's praying too much. He's got to go out for a walk. And so Prabhupada started walking. He was kind of irritating, and devotees at that time were irritated with him. And Prabhupada said, no, it's okay. He's speaking. He's giving me good advice. It was like God was talking, almost like that. So recreation it's okay. Just you'll have to look at what it is, because we had devotees were doing, what was it, the soccer? Yeah, about 5-6 years ago, soccer. And one of our devotees, hey, Krsnadas, were you around? It damaged his knee really bad. He got it just the first time they did soccer over there at Ramsden Park. So you just have to be really careful about those things. And make sure time is allowed for that. Don't just whimsically go out there and do something. Meanwhile, Vishaka is going, where is Amala? What's he doing? He's playing tennis. Oh, rascal, I just want to choke the guy. Like you have to get some the okay to be out there and to have that free time. Yes, we have Sartak.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful class. Both of you, it's I would say, great experience to be hearing directly from Prabhupada disciples, so it's our fortune. Maharaj, my question is around a point that you raised around fanaticism.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we deal with fanaticism, especially if we are on the receiving end of it? How do we?
Try to avoid them. Like I'd run away. Like some cancer's coming at you. I asked Peter Burwash, he's a native Toronto fellow. He was started up these tennis schools all over the world, and if you want to join, you have to be vegetarian. He passed away about 3 years ago. And I asked him once, what do you do with negative people? And he said, it's very difficult to deal with negative people. And what he did say, he said, if they're in the inner circle, get them on the outer circle. Get them out of the circle somehow. Do your maneuvering, your manipulations, and get them out. And they're just trouble. It's like negative people. We don't need them. There's enough negativity in the world already. You know, it would be nice if there was an island where you could just put all the negative people and then don't give them any boats, no canoes, no trees so they can make anything. You know? What do you think?
Oh, yeah, completely.
Well, first give them a chance to convert, to be a happy, jolly person, you know? And stop griping, be Mr. Grumps, you know? That's difficult, you know. I mean, when you're negative, you can't be productive. When you're optimistic, you're very productive. You get things done. You can move mountains with your positivity.
Yeah. I mean, Krishna in the Gita says this process is joyfully performed. So somebody who's negative is just walking around not joyful. You can see it on their faces. You can see it in the way they act and what they do. So they're not joyful at all. And so, you know, they're just hurting themselves. And they're hanging on to all these, you know, things about this person that and that person this, and, you know, and they're not thinking about Krishna, and they're not remembering Krishna and, you know, really getting into the process of chanting Hare Krishna, if they're devotees. If they're outside people, then I've seen some amazing changes from people who've been very negative on the outside. You give them Krishna and all of a sudden they become really positive. So that can happen. But when you have somebody who's a devotee already and they're negative, then that's a very difficult situation. And we should just try to encourage them to get into kirtan. You know, when we all come together and we're jumping up and down in kirtan and everything, it's quite contagious, the joy that's in kirtan, because we're associating with the Supreme Lord through his name. And everybody is happy and dancing. And so if we can just get them to remember that real pleasure, that ananda that's actually within them, and awaken that ananda that's within them, then they can become positive again.
Yeah. Pessimism is tamagun. It's plain and simple. And what you do is you just stay away from that tamagun, which is the mode of darkness, lethargy. Just, you don't have time for them. I would just say, Hari Bol Prabhu, how are you? Nice to see you. Of course you don't mean it, but but just the idea is try to be nice. Hey, it's nice. Hari Bol Jai. Here's some prasada. Well, I got to do my service now. Hari Bol.
That's a great. Thank you so much.
You have to know how to dance in the world. It's like it's kind of like, you know, the ballroom dances, you know, with the ladies and the ladies with their big hooped skirts. I don't know what they call it, you know. And you dance like waltz, you know, and you have to waltz in such a way that you're not jabbing anybody with your elbow, that you know exactly where to position yourself. You know? So life is like that. It's like a ballroom dance.
Yeah, or it's like swimming. I often tell people...
He's a swimmer, by the way.
Yeah, and I've coached swimming and instructed, and I often tell people, when you're swimming, you don't fight with the water. You work with the water. And you can actually, you know, if you move your hand in the right way, you can get more out of the water than you would normally get if you're just trying to fight the water. And it's the same with life. If you go through just, you know, and go with the flow, then, you know, but go with the flow in a positive, the positive flow. Just like as devotees, we're always looking for the positive, and so when the devotees came and we got a book or whatever, then we joined in the positive flow of Krishna consciousness. And but if we always are looking for that positive flow, then we'll be successful.
Can you give us some swimming lessons?
Anytime.
Anyways, yes, did you want to say?
Well, I had a question about the verse.
Yeah, the last. Okay.
You were speaking something. You want to keep going?
No,
Okay.
no, it's your turn.
So we read that Krishna has a heart, and then today we read that Krishna has the core of his heart. So could you tell us more about Krishna's core of his heart?
Well, in the center, the core, it's kind of like an apple. I was thinking about apple. You've got the core, where the stem, where everything was sort of has, let's say, evolved from there. That's where the seeds lie and everything. So, at the core of Krishna's heart are his devotees. It's at the center of his being. Center of his existence are devotees. He can't live without them, and we can't live without him. It's a very deep bond. So it's not like, devotees are on the outside, or but they're on the periphery, but they're right in there, right in the center of everything. Krishna's heart.
Thank you so much. And I was thinking about Durvasa Muni, Prabhu, and I was thinking that I heard he has a very soft side, that he's very giving with blessings and benedictions to the ladies. So I thought if he came here, we could honor him, give him prasadam, give him garlands, and ask for blessings and benedictions.
Well, I'll give him my garland. I'll be happy to. But I'm going to just give this garland out too. By the way, is that Chris over there? Chris, did you have something you want to say? Come forward, please. Chris, he does such valuable service. Let's thank him. He does such a good job at cleaning. He and his team.
Thank you, Maharaj, for everything you've been doing, and sincerely, I appreciate it. I have a question for someone who has not been or who doesn't have a general knowledge of who Krishna is. How can you be able to define Krishna in a general term?
In some words, to keep it really simple, I would just say Krishna is the creator, and he represents all intelligence, and he's very attractive. And he's very pleased when we call on him by his name. He loves to be sung about. So just like if we were to sing, anybody here, like say, Jai, 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 if we sang your name over and over again, say, oh, that's so pleasing to my heart. It's getting attention. So our idea of Krishna, God, is that he loves to hear his name. Is that okay? Great. Okay, and I guess that's it. That's our time. We have to take prasadam, and we'll do that. Any objections? No? Okay. Oh, Danya, how are you? Could you do me a small favor? Just a small one. Could you sing without the microphone the Maha Mantra just once through in your usual opera? Okay.
He's putting you on the spot.
Yes. The acoustics are good here. Danya has done some good things, and he was saying for the Queen, right?
It reminded me of a Gregorian chant. Yes. Yeah.
What did you sing for the Queen? Oh, Canada. I see. Thank you. You accept our garland? You want to give me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Just so people can get to know you a little bit more, you're working for the Liberal Party, right? Oh, I see. Go ahead. Okay, Hare Krishna. You can give that one to, give one to you. And may we ask who is your friend? Oh, nice. Oh. Okay. Jai, Haribol. They're all, each one of these people are like ice cream cones.
They're sweet wherever you bite.
All right, Prabhu, so let's make our way downstairs and go for the usual ritual. May the ceremony begin. Thanks, that was good. Have fun doubling up. Well, thank you for the water.